We're going to be talking about all things storytelling, how you can incorporate stories into your marketing, into your videos, into your sales videos, into your webinars, even into your written posts, into your advertisements, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, you name it. We can weave this in to every single aspect of our marketing to increase conversions. What is up, everyone? Looks like we are live. Go ahead and just give me some confirmation in the comments box. We're going to be talking about storytelling today, how to incorporate storytelling into almost every aspect of your marketing to increase conversions. It's going to be a cool session. All right, good stuff. Well, we're going to kick this off, and as you're joining, or if you're watching the replay, I'm pleased you're here. We're going to be talking about all things storytelling, how you can incorporate stories into your marketing, into your videos, into your sales videos, into your webinars, even into your written posts, into your advertisements, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, you name it. We can weave this in to every single aspect of our marketing to increase conversions. There are a few elements, there are a few ingredients to successful, profitable, and effective marketing strategy. And one of those ingredients is, in fact, storytelling. Neil says stories sell. It's very true, man. There's an age-old saying, facts tell, stories sell. If we just focus on the facts, that's not really selling anyone. It's not getting them caught up. There's no emotional response from that person. It's just factual. If we tell a story, we connect with them on a deeper level, we connect with them on the emotional level, and stories will lead someone to make a buying decision. Okay? So I want to give you, firstly, an introduction to storytelling and why it's important. Then I'm going to go ahead and teach you the wrong way to do storytelling, that so many people are doing it that way, and it's a huge mistake. And it's not going to get them the result that they're looking for. And then I'm going to share with you 2 ways that you should be doing storytelling that does make a difference. I see you, Joel. Oh, sorry, Jed. Jed says always. Katie says I try to, but I tend to ramble. Okay, absolutely. Well, I'm going to give you some structure and some frameworks here that you can follow, okay? So let's start with this. Why storytelling? Why do we want to incorporate this in, okay? Firstly, as I mentioned already, but in case you're just joining now, storytelling is part of the ingredients. If you are baking something or making a meal, right? There is the end result of having that meal, having that cake, having that thing that you're making, and there's a bunch of ingredients. And you have to have all the ingredients for it to be done right. And so one of the ingredients for a marketing campaign, one of the ingredients for something that is effective at turning a stranger into a buyer, from a stranger to a customer or a client, is in fact storytelling. There's a few things that we can utilize. We don't want to be one-dimensional within the way that we market, where we always do our ads and always do our webinars in the same way with only one focal point, whether that is, focusing on the facts, right? Focusing on the details and not incorporating the emotional. And even if we're incorporating the emotional, only doing that in one way, not using stories as a supplement to that. It's a very powerful ingredient that we can incorporate into all of our different marketing efforts and different marketing campaigns. Sometimes the story might just be 5 minutes. Sometimes the story might be 1 minute. Other times the story might stretch 10 minutes. It depends on the context of when and where and how you're telling that story, but regardless, it wants to be in there. It's part of the ingredients. Second reason why we want to use storytelling is because we can connect on a deeper level. We're now no longer just talking about our product, our service, who we are, what we do. but instead we are connecting with them on a deeper level. You know, so many people are running ads and running webinars where, you know, I picture someone in a marketing conference. They're not really engaged in the presentation. They're not really committed to being there at that conference. They're in the back row. They've got their arms folded. They're not convinced of what's going on. They're leaning back in their chair. They're not engaging. They're not leaning in. That is how a lot of your potential clients and potential customers and viewers of your content are currently experiencing you. You just don't see them, right? If you could see them, you'd probably change the strategy that you're using. But most people are leaning back like that. They're not leaning in. They're not connecting. They're not excited. They're not getting emotionally triggered by what it is that you're saying and doing. Stories is that thing that will have that person starting to unfold their arms, starting to lean in and starting to connect with you. That's the power of stories, okay? So that's part of the reason we're using stories, to connect on a deeper level. Alongside that, we're using stories to be able to do something that I call displayed understanding. Displayed understanding is where we are going out there with a marketing message, and the way that we are going out there, the way that we are, you know, sharing our message and in fact telling our story is displaying that we understand the person that we're trying to gain the attention of. This is no secret, okay? This is not something that I've just figured out and no one else knows. Like, a lot of people know this, just not many people act on it. That people want to feel understood, okay? It's a big deal. People want to feel understood. And the person that can display that they understand the potential client the best is the person that's going to win that client. So if you're going out there and you are going out there into a market that is, or an industry that is competitive, there are lots of other people that are selling something very similar to you. They provide the same outcome. They offer the same solution. Okay, they have a very similar business to you. One of the ways that you can stand out, because you most likely already know this, right? That you know you need to then stand out. Otherwise, no one's going to come to you instead of the other 10,000 other options. Now, we know that we need to stand out. One of the ways that we can stand out is by utilizing displayed understanding. If we can display that we understand that person better than they believe the competition understand them, then we're going to win the client. Or rather, we're going to have a much greater chance at winning that client. Okay? So we can display understanding through the way we're telling stories, and I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that in just a moment. By the way, if you're tuning in and you're watching me live, go ahead and just drop me a comment and say live. L-I-V-E. Just drop me a comment, say live. It's interesting to know how many are watching live versus catching this on the replay. So drop a comment, say live. If you are in fact watching me right now, go ahead and do that. It's helpful for me to see that and also encouraging for me to see that too. And secondly, if you know that you're catching this on a recording, if you've just come across this video later on and we're not live anymore, then just drop a comment that says replay. Drop a comment that says replay, okay? And then it's just helpful to know how many of you are live versus watching the replay, all right? Another reason that we use stories is it moves people into action. If we can tell the right story in the right way to the right person, it will move them into action. And finally, it allows someone to connect with you personally. And much like displaying that we understand the person and them feeling understood and that moving them into action, another reason is that they will know, like, and trust you. Now, that's not the only thing we're looking for. We don't want to focus only on them getting to know you. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. That's not the only thing we're trying to achieve. But what we do want to do is we want them to know us alongside achieving some other things as well. If we can gain their trust, if they can get to know us, if they can, dare I say, get to like us, and they feel understood, then we've got a fantastic chance at winning that client. Okay? So that's why we use stories. Are we all clear, before I move on, as to the importance of stories and why they work so well? Just go ahead and let me know in the comments box. Give me a yes. Just type yes in the comments box if this is making sense. Okay, type yes if this is making sense and you understand, okay, stories are important. Now I'm ready to learn how to implement them. Just go ahead and give me a yes. Okay, cool. See a few yeses coming in, very good. Now, by the way, if you're not aware, I go live in here like this every single week. If you're enjoying this so far and you would like to be a part of this on a regular basis, keep in mind that we do this live every single week. Let's get into how to tell stories, and I'm going to give you 3 examples. One is I don't want to say terrible, but not a good way of telling stories. And then we've got 2 other ways that I want to share with you that actually is good and you should use them. So let's talk about the first one. How many of you have heard of origin stories? I would like you to participate. I'd like to know. Just type a number 1. Type number 1 in the comments if you've ever heard of an origin story before. An origin story is, of course, letting the viewers and the audience get to know a certain character or a certain person, sharing their origin story. Where did they come from? What life events or situations have happened to that person to get them to where they are right now? What's the timeline of their life, and sharing some pinnacle moments on that journey that has led to them becoming the person and the character that they are right now. That's an origin story. What's the origin of this person? Do any of you know, or rather have you heard of origin stories before? Okay, I've got a few yeses. And I've got a few ones. Here's the issue with an origin story. An origin story is designed to achieve something. And what it's designed to achieve is to take someone who doesn't know you to someone who does know you. That's what it's designed to do. When you see an origin story in a comic book film or something like that, the whole point of that origin story is so that you can grow to like and love and enjoy that particular character because you know where they came from. You know the battles that they've faced. You know the hardships that they came through to get to where they are right now. And by telling that story, you feel more connected with that character, or indeed in this situation, in marketing, you feel more connected with that person because you've gotten to know them a little bit more. So we're taking someone from not knowing who you are to knowing who you are. Now, if we bring origin stories into the marketing space, then the way we're using an origin story is allowing someone to get to know us. That's what we're doing. So you will hear people talk about using origin stories in your webinars, right? That's a big one, right? We want to have a section in our webinar where for the first 10 minutes, we are letting the audience and the viewers of that webinar, get to know us. So we're going to share about where we've come from. We're going to share some of our hobbies. We're going to let them get to know our family and how many kids we've got. We're going to show them a little bit about, our life and where we've come from and whatever. We are sharing our origin story, and we're told to do that. There are a lot of marketing gurus that will teach this. It's so effective. Tell that story in the beginning of the webinar. Tell that story in the beginning of your videos. Tell that story to your audience whenever and however you can, because it's going to allow them to connect with you. And if they can connect with you, you've got a greater chance of getting the result out the other end. Here's the issue with this. Nothing wrong with telling an origin story. So I'm not here to say to you that you should never ever use an origin story, that it's completely useless and it's a terrible strategy. I'm not here to say that. What I'm here to say is that there is a better way to deliver it. There's a better way to tell a story that achieves this and achieves so much more, and people are missing this and they're not using it. And they're missing a trick. They're missing something that can change the game and will allow you to connect with that person and vice versa, them connect with you on a much, much deeper level. And we can incorporate displayed understanding. There are other things we can incorporate. So I don't think this is the greatest strategy, because here's the thing. Allowing them to get to know you is one thing, and that's good, but you've got to look at the flip side of this. People are not joining your webinar, they're not watching your videos. You guys are not even here watching this Facebook Live because you care about me or because you particularly want to get to know me, right? You don't want to know what my favorite meal is, although some of you might be interested, but it's not a big deal. You don't want to know if I have a dog or not. You don't really care if I'm married or not, or if I have kids or not, or the car that I drive. Like, that stuff doesn't really matter. If I was to tell you, then you would by default get to know me a little bit better, and that may have some benefit, but that's not the main reason you're here. You're not here to get to know me, nor do you really care about me. And again, if I was to share some stuff with you, you might find it interesting, but it's not the main thing. So we need to tell a story in a way that actually does connect with the reason that you're here, the reason that you're watching, the reason that your visitors and attendees will be trying to, will be coming to your webinars and into your sales funnels. Okay? Is this making sense so far? So Neil says, is an origin story like a backstory? Yes, it's like a backstory, right? You're telling the story and the journey that's got you to where you are right now. Yes, it is a backstory. Hey, if you're enjoying this, go ahead and just give me some likes and hearts. You'll see there's a little button there if you're on a mobile device. You should see it on desktop as well. There's a little blue thumbs up and a red heart button. Just go ahead and tap that a few times. That lets Facebook know that you're enjoying this content, and at the same time will help notify other people to come and join the party and join what we're doing. Okay, so there's a better way to do this. What we're going to do, and I'm not going to draw it out because we're running out of space. Instead of an origin story, here's what we want to do. We want to tell their story. We want to tell a story that we know will hit home for them. We want to tell a story that is specifically on the topic that you are trying to eventually sell them on. If you want them to become a client or a customer, then what we want to do is we want to focus the stories that we tell in a way that touches on the stuff that will allow them to feel understood. We're describing their journey through our journey. This is going to need a little bit of explaining. So let me go ahead and explain. When you're telling your story, rather than focusing on the hobbies that you have and the family that you have or whatever else, rather than focusing on that, that's only going to let them get to know you. Instead of that, we're going to tell the journey that you've gone on from the problem that you had, the solution that you needed, how it made you feel when you didn't have the solution, how you discovered the solution, and therefore why what you've got works and why it's different. If you were to do that, you've told a story. In fact, you've told a part of your story, but it's a story that will relate to them. You could even go as far to say you're telling their story. Because if they're on the webinar right now, or on your Facebook Live, or watching your videos, or in your funnels, they currently have the problem that you no longer have, but you're telling a story of back when you did, how it made you feel, what was going on for you, and the journey that you went on, and the things that you tried, and in fact the things that you tried that failed, and all the way up to you getting that solution. So you're sharing the parts of your journey, you're sharing the parts of your story that you know will connect with them because it will hit home. In fact, it'll be stuff that actually will land for them in the place that they're literally in right now. Let's just talk about weight loss. If your thing, if your training, if your coaching is centered around, getting back in shape, right, then the people that are watching you are most likely desperate for a solution to lose weight, feel good again, and feel fit and healthy. So we can tell the part of our story that will connect with where they're at right now. So you can make a big old list of all the things you know that they'll be feeling right now. Okay, the pain that they're in, the frustrations that they have, the desire to get in shape, and why that is such a big thing for them. Right? You can talk about the feeling of getting out of breath. You can talk about the feeling of not feeling confident, not being able to get into the old clothes that you love and that you wish you could still wear. Feeling self-conscious, whatever it is, whatever it was for you, and whatever you know will connect with your audience, you make a list of those things, and that now becomes part of the story. And now, why did you want to get in shape? Why were those desires there? Why did you want that outcome? You start to make a list of all those reasons that you had to get back in shape, and you make a list of the things that you know will connect with your potential audience, the things that will make them feel understood, the things that if you were to say would lead them to go, my word, this person gets me. This person understands me. This person has been where I am right now and has gone through that. It's much like if we really just boil this down and give a very frank example, if you wandered into a gym and you wandered into the gym with a specific goal of finding a personal trainer. You wander into the gym and you see a bunch of them around, they're wearing the same t-shirt, you know they're personal trainers, and you're looking around, okay? Now let's say, now I'm not judging anyone here, I'm just pointing out the obvious. Let's say you had a choice between two personal trainers and one of them was not in the best shape. Not in the best shape. Maybe they have all the qualifications, they have all the knowledge in their head, okay? But visually, they're not in the best shape. You've got someone else that you don't really know if they have the qualifications, nor do you know if they have the specific, whatever documentation to say they went through certain courses and learned certain stuff. Regardless, you're looking at their physique and you're saying, they look how I want to look. So they've clearly been there and done that. I'm going to gravitate towards that person. No offense to the other person. I'm sure they know their stuff. But with my eyes, based on what I want, I'm seeing over here that someone has literally been through the journey and got the result that I want. It's clear as day. I'm looking at them. And so that's a very simple example and an easy one to understand. And we're trying to recreate that in the stories that we tell. We want someone to watch you, watch your content, be a part of your sales funnel and watch your stuff, consume your stuff. And when they hear your stories, we want the outcome of that to be, my word, that person has been on the journey that I'm currently on right now, and they found a solution, it's clearly worked for them. I want that same solution for myself. I'm feeling very, very connected with this person right now. So now we've gone beyond an origin story. We've gone far deeper now to a whole nother level. It's not just getting to know me and like me and maybe trust me, that's one thing. But now we've also displayed understanding and they're going to feel far more connected. Is this making sense? Drop a yes right now. Whether you're watching this live or watching the replay, drop a yes right now if this is making sense. If you're finding this helpful and you're enjoying this content, go ahead and let me know. Now, the third way of telling stories, and with this we're going to come to a close and then I might take a couple of spontaneous questions. The final way is what I call a positioning story. And again, I'm not going to write it out, we'll just talk. The final thing is a positioning story. What is a positioning story? A positioning story is a story that you're utilizing to achieve one of a few things. The first is breaking down a false belief. Someone may have an understanding about you, your industry, what's possible for them, what they could achieve, what they couldn't, why they're stuck and why they can't get out of that place of feeling stuck. They've got a false belief. Now, only you can figure this out. Me and my team can help you if you want to become a client. We will spend some time with you and really, really dive deep on this and of course a bunch of other topics, but you've got to figure out what is some of these false beliefs that they have right now, and then how can we tell a story that will break them out of that false belief? How can we tell a story that will give them that light bulb moment? The light bulb moment to go, oh my word, I've been stuck with this false belief, but now I realize that that's not true and I'm going to go in another direction. It's like giving them an epiphany. And we do that by telling a story. We do that by usually telling a story of how you discovered this very thing. It's like when intermittent fasting became a big thing, right? I use this example a lot. When intermittent fasting became a big deal in the fitness space, that was new. It was new, it was unknown, it was exciting at the same time because it's new, but it needed some explaining. So one of the best ways to explain would be to tell a story about how you figured this out. right? Maybe the false belief is that you have to have breakfast in the morning in order to have a healthy diet and start to get in shape. So that's the false belief. And so you would need to come in with a story about how you used to believe that same thing. You used to believe that you have to have a breakfast in the morning, otherwise it's going to mess up, your weight loss or muscle building efforts for this reason, this reason, this reason. So you're going to tell a story of how you used to believe that, the reasons why you believed that. And then you heard about this thing called intermittent fasting, and you were so shut off from the idea because you believed you knew the way it should be done. And by explaining that you were so shut off, that's going to allow the audience to connect with you, because they're going to say, yeah, well, I feel like that right now. I feel pretty shut off. So the fact that you've just said that you also felt like that allows me to connect with you. And now when I explain that I decided to investigate intermittent fasting, and actually, funnily enough, I started to learn that this was quite good. This was helpful. Actually, maybe what I had believed before is not entirely accurate, and there is a different way to do it. And I'm telling a story, the story of realization for that very thing, and I'm taking them on that journey with me. So rather than just saying, hey, you've probably heard that you should have a breakfast in the morning if you want to lose weight. Well, that's completely untrue. You actually want to do this. Well, you're not going to listen to me as much. You're not going to be paying attention. But if I told a story that connected with you and where you're at, and now I gave you the story of how I went from unbelief to belief, right? Or something that I was so closed off to that now I've been opened up to. By telling that story, they're naturally going to go on that journey with you and be opened up to the possibility as well. It might be that what you're selling is coaching. You're not selling a course. You're not selling an ebook. You're not selling a low ticket training. You're specifically selling coaching. Then your positioning story might need to be explaining how coaching made the difference for you. So you're going to tell a story about all the things that you tried. Let's say it's to get your business going, right? Let's use the example that I have. I'm a coach. I have a coaching program. We take people through an entire process of packaging up their high ticket offer, pricing it right, structuring it right, making sure it's scalable. Then we help our clients build a webinar presentation, very simple one that leads people to booking an appointment on their calendar to talk about their coaching and start signing up. We show them how to turn on traffic and make the whole thing run. We show them how to close on the phone effectively, and we show them how to scale that to 20K a month. That's one of our programs. Now, for that program, we specifically target people who want to sell a high-ticket coaching program. So if I was to tell a positioning story that is ultimately leading to someone buying that particular coaching program from me, then I'm going to tell that story. I'm going to tell a story about how I tried everything to get my business going. Every turn I was hitting obstacles. I was watching YouTube videos and I was getting stuck and I was not getting the answer that I needed. I tried buying training, but there was no accountability. Some of the training I came across was outdated, didn't seem to work anymore. And I was getting stuck. I read a bunch of books. I'm explaining all the things that I tried that I know that my potential viewers are trying as well. And then I explain how coaching made the difference. I was so resistant, so hesitant to spend money on coaching. When I heard that someone's coaching program was $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, I thought, my word, I'm not spending that kind of money. I know I want the result and I know that that's probably going to help, but I want to save that money and I want to figure this out by myself. So I'm going to keep watching these YouTube videos. Yeah, I know that coaching's there. I know it's probably the answer, but I'm going to keep watching these YouTube videos. I'm going to keep buying these books. I'm going to keep buying these courses. And weeks become months, months become years, and I'm still stuck. And then I would tell the story of how I finally dipped into my savings and I joined that coaching program for $10,000, and it was the most nerve-wracking experience of my entire life. I remember as I was typing in the credit card details, the card almost slipped out of my fingers because I was so sweaty. I was so nervous. But that was one of the best decisions I ever made. I signed up for that coaching program within 30 days. I had my funnel built, my traffic on, my offer positioned in the right way, landed my first client. Suddenly I had the confidence and the momentum, and I started to do more of what my coach told me to do. I started to utilize the coaching that I had, And I remember looking back thinking, my word, why did I spend so long going round and round like a hamster on a wheel and then just invest in myself? In fact, I lost more money by just staying stuck over here than I did investing in the coaching. If I could go back, I would do that 10 times over. Now imagine if you tell a story like that. That's an example right there of a positioning story. At the end of that story, if that was woven into a webinar or a sales video or some kind of content online, if that positioning story was woven in, there's no two ways about it. You would get to the end of that story and you would be more open to getting yourself coaching than before you heard that story. Because you're connecting with me, I'm saying things that make you feel understood, and now I'm telling you that the answer I found was coaching, and so you're now open to that being an option for you. Hopefully this is making sense. Yeah? That's a positioning story. You're positioning something that they would need to understand in order to make a buying decision later on. You're telling a positioning story about something that they have a false belief about right now, or something that they need an epiphany for in order to move forward in the direction that becomes a client or a customer for you. Yeah? Listen, type a number 2 in the chat box right now. Type a number 2 in the chat box if this is making sense, if you're enjoying this. And if you're watching this on a replay, go ahead, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up on this video. Drop me a comment. Really helpful and encouraging to see those coming through. All right? Listen, we're going to pretty much wrap up here. That is storytelling. In summary, storytelling is super important. You should weave it into every aspect of your marketing. Don't focus on just origin stories that take people from not knowing you to knowing you. Focus on telling their story. Focus on the parts of your story that will connect with them. Tell a positioning story. Position what they would need to know or understand in order to move closer to a buying decision, and do what you can to weave these stories into everything that you're doing. All right, I see a bunch of 2s coming in. Neil, Katie, Jed. And finally, if you're in a position where you know you need some further help, maybe even that example story that I gave connected with you. You start to realize, yeah, perhaps I do need coaching. Perhaps I do need to take that step and that leap of faith right now. I would agree, because that story is true for me. I fumbled around for the longest time. I was joining Facebook Lives like this. I was watching training and I was consuming so much, but I was still getting stuck on the implementation, the accountability. And if you're watching this right now and you are not earning the $10,000 or $20,000 a month in your business that you want to be and that you know is possible, it might just be that working with me and my team is the answer you've been looking for. If that would interest you, just drop a comment that says cool, C-A-L-L, cool. Just drop a comment that says cool below right now, and what will happen is a member of my team will just reach out to you and we can set up a time to chat. No hard selling, we're not going to do any of that, those shenanigans. We're just going to chat, get to know you, find out where you're at, why you're stuck, what you're trying to achieve, what your goals are, and we'll see if we can't help you create a roadmap for what you need to do to hit those income goals. And then we can, of course, talk about whether coaching with me and my team is the solution that would be perfect for you. So either drop a comment webinar if you want to check out our free training, and drop cool if you want to speak to a member of my team, and we can reach out to you and make that happen. All right. Hope that was helpful. If it was, again, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think of this training, and make sure to show up every single week. We go live here, same time each week. But we may move it around from week to week. All right, so put it in your diary, look for the notifications here in the group. Come back to this group every now and again, refresh the group, and see if there's any extra goodies in here that we are posting from time to time. All right, hope this was helpful, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care.